TEA, or Transforming Enterprise Applications, is a product suite that is a process of extending your current business applications to be modernized in a new web page design. There are 3 videos that will step through the design of a new graphical user interface. This is the 3rd video of the series.
In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how to create a web page using the TEA framework. Instead of using Windows Calculator, let's start with a hypothetical problem that we can solve with TEA. Suppose you had a server within your company firewall that you wanted to monitor remotely. For example, let's say to check the CPU and memory status. One tool that you could use is Windows Task Manager. Under the Performance tab, you can view the CPU history, physical memory. Now this is great if you're physically located at the server, but what if you're off-site? Well, you could use Remote Desktop, but unfortunately your IT manager won't open up the firewall, so Remote Desktop is not a solution. However, we can use TEA to create a web page that is 100% firewall friendly. Let's bring up the TEA editor. Just like the calculator application, we can use the Finder tool to highlight some of the items that we want to map in our application. Let me just, one item that might be of interest is the available memory. So I drag the Finder tool, highlight the text for the memory, and release the left mouse button, and I'll give it a different name. Another thing I might be interested in is the CPU history graphic here. Slide the Finder tool over that window, and I've got my graphic as a button. Maybe the information on the status bar, the CPU usage, would be of interest. So I slide over the status bar and release that. The control name here is status. I'll just change that to status bar. And that's all we need for this demonstration. So I'll save my project, and it gives me some defaults, and it creates the class Windows Task Manager.cs. I'll save this and bring up a copy of Visual Studio and create a new project, Visual C# and web application, and I'll call this application taskman. And I start out with a blank page. Just like the Windows form, I'll put some controls on so we can start mapping the controls. A label, and I need an image for the graphic. Another label for CPU. We'll use the button to refresh the page. And this label will be CPU. Good. And the image will be loaded into the page dynamically in ASPX. And that is to set the source for the image. Make sure that this is the image. To a web page. I'll just call this ASPX, and I'll show you that page in a second. Actually, we'll create it now. Add new item, add web form, and I'll call it image ASPX. As with the calculator project, the first thing you'll need to do with the new project is add a reference to the TEA engine or the TEA runtime. Select Add Reference, navigate to where your runtime folder is, and select the T132engine.dll file. We will also need to add a existing item, which is the class file for our project that we created with the TEA editor. In the page load for our form, we'll test to see if the Task Manager is up and running. If not, we'll launch it. So create an instance to the Task Manager class. And then use the find window method just to see if the task manager is up and running. If not, we'll launch it, and if it can't be launched, we'll just return exit out of the function. You should display an error or something. Once that's done, we'll populate our web page. And fill in the available memory text with the task manager memory text and the CPU usage from the task manager status bar. And status bars, let me show you this. Status bars have sections or panes. In this case, CPU usage is in the second pane, and the panes are zero base. So this would be pane 0, pane 1, and pane 2. We want the text from pane 1. TM status bar, get text, and there are 3 overrides. I'll just use this one. And that's it. That will populate our form. We still need to do the graphic, and that's over in the image file. Okay, because this is a new page, we need to create an instance of our task manager class. In addition to returning the text or whatever information you want from a control, the T engine also supports getting a bitmapped image of that object. And you can do that with the get window bitmap function. Again, it returns a system drawing image of a type bitmap. And what I'll do to render that bitmap to the page is use I'll paste in some code that I've written already. This send bitmap method will just format the bitmap into the proper response type for the web page and output it to the stream. You don't suffice to say it does work. And I'll just call that method. Let's compile the project to see if everything has been added correctly. We have to make one more change, and that is to the web config file. In order to use the remoting features of T, we need to connect to the enterprise server. Let me paste in some lines here. And what I have is a key to the enterprise server, the location of the server, which is running on this PC, so it's just localhost, but it could be any IP address here. And one more line, a key to use the ASPX session ID, and that's to guarantee a unique host for each client browser that connects to the server. During development, it's nice to set this to false so that I can always keep the same host to myself for development, and I don't have to keep restarting the host. That's it. Let me now launch the T-Win32 host process. Again, this is running on my PC, and it's connecting to enterprise server. Let me bring that back up. At localhost on my PC. Again, this can be any IP address. It doesn't have to be localhost, but for development, it's easier to do everything on one piece. And it tells me that the host is open and listening for connections, and it connected to enterprise server, and we're ready to go. So I'll bring back my project. Okay, you should be able to see everything now. What we've got here, this label is the available memory, the CPU usage, which is 16%, and then the actual graphic from the Windows Task Manager. Let me unpause this so we can see the graph move and verify that indeed the graphic and numbers change. I'll hit the refresh button, and you can see that. Again, this is 100% firewall friendly. Everything is going over port 80, so a firewall is a non-issue.